The king who became a beast. Nebuchadnezzar's fall. Imagine being the most powerful ruler in the world. Your word is law. Your kingdom stretches beyond the horizon. You believe no one, not even God, can take your throne. But then, in one terrifying moment, everything is stripped away. You lose your kingdom, your throne, your very humanity. This is the true story of King Nebuchadnezzar, the man who became a beast, the story of Nebuchadnezzar's humbling. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had seen the power of the God of Israel. He had witnessed Daniel interpret dreams, seen Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego survive the fiery furnace, and even declared, "There is no God like theirs." But deep inside, pride still ruled his heart. One night, Nebuchadnezzar had a terrifying dream, a vision that shook him to his core. In his dream, he saw a massive tree, tall and mighty, reaching the sky. Its branches spread over the entire earth, giving food, shade, and shelter to all. The birds nested in it, the animals rested under it. It was the source of life and security. But suddenly, a voice from heaven thundered, "Cut down the tree, strip its leaves, scatter its fruit, but leave the stump and roots in the ground." Then came the most shocking part. "Let his mind be changed from that of a man to that of a beast. Let him live among the animals. Let him eat grass like an ox, and let 7 years pass over him." Nebuchadnezzar woke up in a cold sweat. He called his wise men, astrologers, magicians, but none could explain the dream. Finally, he summoned Daniel. Daniel's interpretation, a warning, ignored. Daniel listened to the king's dream, and for a moment, he was silent. His face grew troubled. He didn't want to say what he knew, but he spoke. "O king, may this dream be for your enemies, and not for you. But you are the tree. God has given you power and dominion over all the earth. But because of your pride, you will be cut down. You will be driven away from your throne. You will live like a beast, eating grass like an ox. You will have no kingdom, no power, no wealth, until you learn that the Most High rules over all." Daniel pleaded with the king, "Repent now. Turn away from your pride, do justice, show mercy to the poor. Maybe then God will be merciful to you." Nebuchadnezzar heard the warning, but he did not listen. The fall. A king becomes a beast. 12 months later, Nebuchadnezzar stood on the roof of his palace, gazing over the golden city of Babylon, its hanging gardens, its towering walls, its mighty rivers. He spread out his arms and boasted, "Is this not the great Babylon I have built? By my power and for my glory." But before the words left his mouth, a voice from heaven interrupted. "King Nebuchadnezzar, your kingdom is taken from you. You will live among the beasts, and you will eat grass like an ox, until you know that the Most High rules over all the kingdoms of the earth." And in that instant, his mind shattered. His royal robes fell from his shoulders as he stumbled out of his palace. His eyes, once filled with pride, became wild and lost. He fell to the ground, crawling on all fours. The great king of Babylon had become like a beast. For 7 years, Nebuchadnezzar wandered in the fields. His hair grew like eagle's feathers, his nails like claws. The man who once ruled the world was now unrecognizable, lost in madness. The restoration, a king's conversion. But after 7 years, something changed. Nebuchadnezzar lifted his eyes toward heaven, and in that moment his sanity returned. He stood up. He looked at his hands. He felt the wind on his face, and for the first time he understood. God alone is king. Nebuchadnezzar ran back to his palace. His officials were stunned. The king had returned, but he was not the same man. He gathered the people and declared, "Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise, exalt, and honor the King of heaven. His dominion is everlasting. His kingdom endures from generation to generation. All who walk in pride, he is able to humble." The proudest king in history had become a humble servant of God. Re-engagement point. Challenge to skeptics. Now, here's the challenge. How did the greatest king of his time suddenly lose his mind for 7 years, then regain it instantly? How did Daniel predict it a year before it happened? Why did Nebuchadnezzar, a pagan king, publicly declare the God of Israel to be the true God? Coincidence? Or divine proof that God humbles the proud and rules over all? But here's the real warning. Revelation 18:7-8 speaks of another Babylon, the final kingdom of pride, the world system that refuses to acknowledge God. It says, "She says in her heart, 'I sit as a queen, I will never see mourning,' but in one day her destruction will come." Just like ancient Babylon fell, so will the Babylon of the last days. The question is, when the warning comes, will you listen?